All right, guys, it's Philip. It's Two Tactics. Can Newcastle United beat Everton this Tuesday coming up under the lights at St. James's Park? Although we've had an incredible victory over West Ham, overcoming a 3-1 deficit, overcoming 3 injured players, and a suspension for Anthony Gordon, we still came back and won 4-3. And as Eddie Howe is going to be would have been celebrating his victory over the Hammers after a miracle like that, he's going to be looking through the wreckage today as he examines what players exactly are available to him. But before we get into the tactics of the game, let's get into a little bit of context. Let's see what the current forms for both teams are. How are we all getting into in what state are both teams in terms of Everton and Newcastle are getting into this game? Newcastle, in terms of goals scored, 2.2 goals per game. Goal scoring is not our problem. We're unbeaten in 4 home games at the moment. Also, we haven't been drawing any games to Everton lately. It's all been losses and victories. Everton are struggling. They're 19th in terms of goals scored, 7th or they're 8th now. They've got 8 clean sheets now as well. And they haven't won a match in 9 attempts. They're really, really, really struggling. Obviously, they're 16th in the league. We're 8th. A victory against Everton would, I think, because West Ham got Spurs next. Man United got Chelsea, which is a 50-50. Newcastle have a real opportunity to push themselves up the league table. Brighton play Liverpool today. So, I know that Brighton have a good form against Liverpool, but hopefully Liverpool do what Liverpool do and they beat Brighton and we maintain our 8th position. But we've got a real opportunity to get into 7th should we beat Everton. Now, our own last game, obviously, we beat West Ham 4-3. We're unbeaten in the last 4. The games that we have lost in the last 5 games, Man City, which is nothing to be ashamed of. Chelsea, a lot to be ashamed of, in my view, because not Chelsea club, but the Chelsea team right now are not great. They drew 2-2 against Burnley. And that shows you their state, and that shows you how horrendous we were when we played against them. Everton have lost their last 3 games. And in literally all their games in the last 5 games, they've either scored 1 goal or scored no goals, which shows you what their issues are, which is up front. However, they don't have those same issues against Newcastle when they play. They either lose by a lot of goals, or they score. They can score a lot of goals against us. Especially the last time when we played against them at Goodison Park, we lost 3-0. And with 2 major errors from Kieran Trippier really leading to that eventual collapse. Now, I know that Newcastle, obviously, we remember the lack of squad rotation through the number of injuries, which has been the story of our season so far. But Everton were good on that night and we were terrible. We were made to be terrible. Speaking of injuries, now this is FOT Mobs. They haven't quite updated it yet, but that's because we don't know what the true state of our injuries are at the moment in terms of length of time. But I would suggest that with the way Jamal Lascelles limped off, the way Mickey Almiron came off after 5 minutes of coming on, and even Tino Livramento came off as well, though I'm hoping it's more of an impact injury. I don't think they're going to be playing against Everton in this game. And we certainly know that Anthony Gordon isn't going to be playing in this game against Everton because he will be serving a suspension. So with all of that said, let's get ourselves onto the actual tactics of the game. Who is available for us? Who is not available for us? And how would that change how Eddie Howe approaches this particular game? So let's get onto it. I've prepared the lineups for you folks. So this is how the lineup is looking for me for Newcastle. Obviously, I think Barnes comes in for Anthony Gordon and Murphy stays where he's at. I think our midfield stays the same. I think at left back, Lewis Hall comes in, and Dan Burn, who I think is going to be critical in this game against Everton, is also coming in. Will be playing at left centre back, especially dealing with all their set pieces and all their pressure. I have to say that Shaw for me is a doubt because I saw him holding his hamstring against the West Ham game, and it could be Dummett as well. So with that, Dan Burn is going to be absolutely critical for us. Dubravka also was hobbling around against West Ham, and it could be that Lewis Carrier's plays for him. But I've kept those players there as they completed the game. Kraft, I believe, is going to come in at right back. Now, I know he didn't have the greatest of games. He came on a sub and was subbed himself, though I think mainly that was because of a tactical change by Howe. But however, we did see that Kraft wasn't the greatest when he came on. Although he did make decent overlapping runs, he was out of position for one of the goals. He was misplacing passes. He wasn't looking great. Having said that, I think Howe is going to have very limited options on alternatives, and Kraft gives him the balance that he needs in his backline, in his midfield. And I'm going to go a little bit more into that in a moment, just going on to the Everton players themselves, the key danger men in Calvert-Lewin and Decore, who scored the majority of their goals. McNeil, who also scored against us, is decent. However, there's a reason why they haven't scored many goals. They have, though, they don't concede many goals either, though. And so that's down to their low block and their solid midfield in Onana, especially, and Jason Garner, but also Branthwaite and Tarkowski. And Branthwaite himself is a up-and-coming starlet. He's absolutely fantastic. Newcastle are looking at him, but I think even the likes of Man United and other big clubs are also looking at him as well. And we know all about Mr. Jason Pickford himself. So with Newcastle, I think the main strength from Everton the main goal threat is going to come from set pieces from Everton, from set pieces. So it's going to be imperative for Newcastle to not give away silly fouls in the last third, but also our main weakness is the counter attacks themselves. And so how does Howe manage that? Here's what I think Eddie Howe's going to do in terms of breaking down Everton themselves, but also not being susceptible to the counter attack and avoiding long balls into the box. I think Lewis Hall's going to invert, and he's going to play alongside Bruno Gomes, who's going to push up as well, or at times when we're attacking, to add a little bit more manpower into the box, Everton's box themselves. That him inverting is going to add another player into the midfield and give us that control. He was very excellent against West Ham when he did that. Him alongside Anderson, who I think will be on the bench. Just because I think Willock will keep his place, and he's going to be key in terms of helping playing alongside Gomes, adding that technical ability on the ball in controlling the midfield itself. I think Barnes and Murphy are going to stretch the play. I think Kraft is going to continue doing his overlapping runs and trying to hurt Everton on that side as well. And there's going to be a lot of cutbacks for Isak, Willock, Bruno Gomes, and Longstaff to run onto. And then Hall will haul alongside Willock or Longstaff. And Bruno are also going to be important in protecting the back four and preventing the counter attacks. A key game also is going to be our possession, trying to ensure that we've got the bulk of the possession in this game and controlling Everton, but also ensuring that we don't give away silly free kicks in the final third, giving Everton that one chance in order to bombard our box with long balls and to hurt us through set pieces. So I think Newcastle will probably put our bench is going to be stretched thin. We're going to see Anderson probably on the bench with Alfie Harrison, who I'm really keen to see on that bench as well. So and Everton do come on quite well in the second parts, in the latter stages of games as well. So it's going to be very, very, very important for Newcastle to put away their chances and not give away silly free kicks. I back Newcastle to win this game 3-1. Let me know what you guys think. Send in your comments and predictions. Until next time, take care. God bless, folks.
the shot.